almost all people play what I call the small game, which is something I play as well. And it's essentially ego gratification. So the small game is how you approach life. It's the game of life, essentially. It's the background story that you don't know, that you're not really aware of, but it's the story of your life and how you play it, how you play the game of your life. So essentially I'm a person, I'm an individual, I'm an ego. I'm an individual. I want to make myself the best I can. I want to make my life the best I can. I want to self-actualize or whatever. I want to become a better version of myself. I want my life to be better. I want to make more money. I want to be more successful. I want to get more lovers or the best lifestyle possible. It depends on your level of maturity. Maybe you might want something like, lots of lovers or lots of money or whatever. But it can be more subtle than that as well. If you're more mature, maybe what you might want is the best relationship or the best family. You just want to have beautiful love and community and friendship. But that's still ego gratification, because what that implies is I want this from life. Life is supposed to give me, a wonderful life, a wonderful relationship, wonderful kids or whatever. And that's going to make me feel good about myself. So even in that example, there is this energy of working on oneself, or the life energy is focused internally, inward. Even if it's something like philanthropic is the word, or, if you want a meaningful life, if that's your whole push. It's self-focused, I want a meaningful life so that I feel good about myself, so that I can, at my funeral one day, people can say, wow, this man had a meaningful life. He did good things. He saved the rainforest or the children in Africa, or he started up 100 new schools. The whole game of life, 99 point whatever % of us are playing is the small game. The ego gratification game, the game where we work on ourselves. All our energy is really focused inwards, self-focused energy. The whole thrust of our life is to do with ourselves, because we want to feel good and we want life to make us feel good. And it can come out in a million different ways, but essentially at its core we're playing a small game. And the reason I call it the small game is what eventually happens is you get to a point, once you achieve a relatively high level of success in any endeavor, you get to a point when you realize, is this it? The billionaire realizes, it doesn't matter if I earn another billion, I kind of will just feel the same. It's kind of like, is this it? And then quite often the older billionaire will turn around and change their life around and become very generous with their money, and they do lots of good things for the community because they realize making money is a bit of a small game. Like, who cares? Like, I've reached the top of the mountain, and like, now what? Like, this didn't do it for me. But what I call the small game is not just one area, it's all the areas. It's like a meta whatever. It's all the areas. It doesn't matter whether it's money or fame or success or physical beauty or becoming the kindest, nicest person, or self-actualizing, or even fixing your own traumas and working on yourself. It's wonderful and good and not, but there comes a point where it's like, okay, I've fixed all my traumas, I've worked on all my childhood stuff, I've sorted out my psychology, now what? Like, yeah, life's a bit smoother and a bit easier and stuff, and that's great. It's not bad. But it's like, is that it? Now what? So any endeavor in life where your focus is on, where it's self-focused, essentially, even if it comes across as a lovely thing, but deep down it's still a self-focused thing, it's a small game. Because you can achieve anything. You can be rich, you can be famous, you can have a beautiful body, you can have a wonderful relationship, you could have all your chakras aligned. You could, you can have a wonderful family, you can have a nice, hot wife who's 20 years younger than you. You could have a little dog. You could achieve life. And it's wonderful. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing, but it's a small game. Because you'll get to the point and you'll realize deep down it was all still, you've made yourself very nice. Now you're a shiny object and your life is a shiny object. And is that it? It's like it's a small ladder to climb. Even if you get to the top, you haven't really gotten very far. Because you're just building your ego or defending your ego or rebuilding your ego if it got damaged in one way or another. So the big game is when you realize the limitations of the small game and the ego becomes an obstacle rather than something that you want to preserve. You realize that what you want is peace. And you can't get peace via building up your ego, because an ego is a fragile thing and it's always going to fall apart one way or another. So rather than spending your whole life trying to defend it and hold it up, you consciously decide that it's time to let life do what it's meant to and chip away at your ego. Because life does that. Life's meant to do that. That's what it's designed for. There's going to be so many areas in your life where things chip away at you. But this time around, instead of defending yourself or rebuilding yourself or redefining yourself, you just allow that part of you to fall away. Maybe you're in a relationship and things go wrong. Instead of running away from it, just let it hurt. Or instead of, if you're anxious, instead of running to the therapist and instantly trying to fix it, maybe just be anxious, be flawed, have problems. Now, please don't read into this the wrong way. I'm not saying therapy's bad or anything. If you've got real issues that you need to deal with, then do that. But there comes a point where it's a limited game, and you realize it's a limited game, and you realize you need to let go of the things that you were attached to. Because what we do is we attach ourselves to things that we attach ourselves to something, and then we think that's what we are. And then sooner or later life chips away at that, and that thing fails us in one way or another, and then we try to rebuild it. But maybe this time let it go. Let the attachment fall away. So if you get hurt or if life embarrasses yourself, just be embarrassed. Be hurt. Be anxious. Be disappointed. This isn't a fun game. This is the big game. Because at first it doesn't feel like a big game. It feels awful. But whatever, the real you can't fall away. So whatever does fall away is not the real you. It's just an attachment. You've attached your identity to something that is not you. So life will eventually show you in one way or another that that thing is not you. But instead of fighting it, just accept it, let it happen. Let life teach you what is you and what is not you. And eventually what starts to happen is so many things fall away, so many attachments fall away that you begin to feel peace. You begin to realize that nothing can really define you. Nothing is you. Nothing that you can look at or experience is you. So play the big game. Give it a go.